Pastor Mark Weldon, another person trying to get at the truth, trying to sift away all the BS and rhetoric. And he's written a book called Communion, the Bloodfest of Babylon. And I've wanted for a long time to get him on. And this is going to be the first 2 interviews. I promised today I just sent him an email and said, I don't think I'm going to get to everything today. So in a couple of weeks, we're going to schedule another one, and we'll get 2 parts of this on a Friday and talk about the Bloodfest of Babylon. And Mark, are you there right now?
Thank you for your tenacity and for your you really go after this stuff, and I appreciate it, and I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I want to get into your book, and we're going to go into this break real quickly. I just wanted to introduce you because it's a shocking title, shocking information, and you talk about the Catholic writings admit to inaccuracies, idolatry, and fraudulent claims. And we're going to get into this whole big discussion, and I applaud you for your book, and I want to bring it to my listeners. So we'll be back with Pastor Mark Weldon in 4 minutes on the Investigative Journal. Okay, we're back, and my guest is Pastor Mark Weldon. He's written a book called Communion, the Bloodfest of Babylon, and it talks about the history of religious cannibalism. Early church fathers were actually pagan Gnostics who honored the sun god Mithra, and much, much more. Tell us about your book, Pastor.
Last month, we advertised on Genesis Communications Network, and many of your listeners have probably already read the book and hopefully are listening to the broadcast as we speak. But yes, the book was inspired over 10 years ago when I came into a lot of information written by scholars from the Bible Review magazine, from different sources, discussing the contradiction that we find in the Scriptures about religious cannibalism.
Right.
And this is a topic that most people don't want to get into because they realize the seriousness of physical cannibalism itself. Most people are familiar with the man who was convicted of murder and cannibalism, and his name was Jeffrey Dahmer.
Right.
Okay? And Jeffrey Dahmer was a cannibal, and he was convicted, he went to jail, and he was murdered in his cell. But this type of religious cannibalism service goes on every Sunday within the churches. And what we're going to find out is, with the facts that have come out and through this book that we've published, 11 chapters, 175 pages, we just, again, first advertised it last month on GCN. And we're trying to get the information out to Christians because when we find out that the church is actually practicing these ancient pagan rituals and these traditions, we're going to find out, according to the prophecies, that a lot of the curses that America is suffering is due to the Christians having been suckered for all these pagan rituals.
Yeah, good point. So we've all been suckered, and let's hear how.
Okay. Well, again, we've got a social taboo in America and across the world, except for your tribes in South America and Papua New Guinea and so forth, against cannibalism. A lot of your pagan tribes and so forth, even today again, perform what's called religious funeral feasts, where they'll eat the flesh of a deceased relative. Okay? Well, this is what they inherited, these ideas, from the ancient pagan world, from Babylon and from the mystery schools and so forth. And again, in the early 1st century, as the apostles were spreading the great news of the resurrected Hebrew Messiah of Israel, and again healing people, all these miraculous signs and wonders taking place in the true name of the Messiah, and these were Torah-observant Hebrew Israelites. Okay, we've in America have been deceived into believing that this Messiah of Israel, called the Christ, is some type of Greek god, and therefore all these pagan rituals are therefore not forbidden. Okay? We've got the church putting up Christmas trees in honor to Baal, the sun god, at the winter solstice. They call upon Ishtar Easter, this pagan fertility goddess from Babylon, every springtime. It says right there in the Bible, in the Torah, it says, do not even speak the names of these pagan gods. These are abominations. Right. Again, I'm saying that the church is practicing these ancient abominations that actually sent ancient Israel into captivity and bondage. And people wonder, well, why is America being cursed and going into bondage? Well, we're giving you the information so that you can learn these things and make educated choices about your religious beliefs, because the things, again, that the church is doing, practicing, preaching, is pagan sun worship.
Exactly. The worship of Baal, you say?
That's
ancient
right.
Babylon? Okay,
That's
the pagan
right.
rituals of ancient Babylon are actually going on today without people really knowing that, right?
That's right. Now, one of the names of these ancient gods in ancient Israel, when Joshua took the Israelites into the Promised Land, one of the first, the land of Canaan was littered with the worship of pagan gods, and all these gods had their different names and so forth. One of the names of these Baals or Baals, his name was Baal God. In Joshua chapter 11, verse 7, it says that he went into the land and was ordered to take out those who worshiped Baal God. Now, the reason why this deity was called God was because in ancient Babylon there was a god over the astrological over the heavens, and this deity was named God. The Jews adopted the name God as they went into Babylonian captivity, and they brought the name of this Babylonian deity back with them, and is actually the origin of the word God that most people, Christians and Americans and so forth, pray to. Now, what's really interesting is that this word God is actually a Hebrew word itself. One of the 12 tribes was named God by his mother Leah. And God in Hebrew doesn't mean the creator, it doesn't mean the designer of life and so forth. God is a Hebrew word and it means martial law truth. So we're actually seeing again that as people pray to God with their lips and they confess these things with their mouth, as Proverbs 18:21 says, life and death is in the power of the Hebrew language. And that's in Proverbs 18:21. So as Americans, Christians, and the church so forth praise to God, they're speaking Hebrew and they're praying for martial law. And we've had martial law in this country since 1933.
Yeah, and you have I just wanted to let people know, you have a ministry called Two Witness Ministries, correct?
Two Witness Ministries is what this book has been published under, the Final Hour Press. Our ministry kicked off into high gear as right after 9/11. I was able to understand some prophetic revelation regarding 9/11 and what that meant to America and the world, and that's for another interview.
Yeah, and I'd like to get into what you found out about 9/11 and
sure, I would
related to the prophecies, and maybe we can get into. We're going to do another half hour, and then bring you back in 2 weeks for another hour. So it's up to you if you want to talk about that. One thing I wanted to mention going into this break, I see on your website you have the title Communion. You have the picture of the Pope holding up the wafer.
That's right.
And the blood festival.
Hello, fellow Christian fellows. Be like me at home and like the cross, the piece of cross. I love crosses, and I love boys. I love boys because I love to hate them. That's why I show my faith in the sacrifice of God. The bloody murder they killed my God. And I am commanded in the Bible to eat God's flesh and drink His blood. I want to see boys. I will come and see you soon.